Welcome back to Cambridge. Let's continue the chapter A Visit to Cambridge by Firdaus Kanga. So, this is your Cambridge University. In the previous video, we have seen how Kanga got a lifetime opportunity to meet the great astrophysicist Stephen Hawking. Both are differently abled and are confined to wheelchairs. Kanga managed to get a half a slot to meet Stephen Hawking. We see clearly that Stephen Hawking is not happy with his disability, but he had no choice. He has to live with that. We concluded the video with a question by Firdaus Kanga to Stephen Hawking. A lot of people seem to think that disabled people are chronically unhappy. I said, I know that's not true myself. You are often laughing. Are you often laughing inside? So, Firdaus is asking a question that people most often they think that disabled people are chronically. That is, they are habitually unhappy. But I'm not so. But what is your thinking about it? Do you find it funny? About 3 minutes later, he responded, I find it amusing when people patronize me. Amusing means something that causing you to laugh and provide entertainment. Patronize means to treat somebody in a way that is apparently very kind or helpful, but actually it makes the person who receives the kindness feel inferior. Okay, so this is what Stephen Hawking thinks about people sympathizing you or thinking that we are chronically unhappy. Okay, I find it amusing when people show mercy on me, which makes me feel inferior. And do you find it annoying when someone like me comes and disturb you in your work? The answer flashed yes. Then he smiled his one way smile, and I knew, without being sentimental or silly, that I was looking at one of the most beautiful men in the world. So, immediately after the question that Fidas asked, whether it annoys you, irritates you when somebody comes and disturbs you in your work, immediately the answer that flashed on the computer was yes. And then he gave his one way smile. Why one way? As we know that he is completely paralyzed person. Okay, he was completely paralyzed head to toe. Only few of his fingers work. Even his facial muscles were also paralyzed. So he could not smile in a normal way. So only one side of his face worked a bit. With that, he used to give a one side smile. But what Fidos feels after saying his smile that, without being sentimental or silly, he thinks that he is looking at the most beautiful person, most beautiful man in the world right now. A first glimpse of him is shocking because he is like a still photograph, as if all those pictures of him in the magazines and newspapers have turned three-dimensional, as his body is still, okay, without any movement. So what he says, when you look at him for the first time, is the first glimpse gives you, startles you. You feel that you're looking at some portrait, some picture, some photograph, as if all the pictures of Stephen Hawking from magazine and newspaper has turned three-dimensional, but it is motionless. That's why he calls it as his appearance as still photograph. Then you see the head twisted sideways into a slump. Slump means fall heavily. As I told you, this person suffered from a problem of complete neuro disease, complete paralysis of his body. So even his backbone or the neck was not uh, strong enough to hold his head. So his head would just simply fall if it is not given a support. So in the picture also you could see on the chair his face is between two spawns, two things are there that supports his head. So his head twisted sideways, the torso, that is his upper body, okay, shrunk inside his pale blue shirt. Wasted legs. Why he's calling it as wasted legs? Though he's having legs, but he cannot use them. That's why he's telling wasted legs or weak leg. You look at his eyes, which can speak. Okay, the most beautiful expression that he's giving is when you look at his eyes, it speaks. His eyes want to speak a lot of things. Still, and they are saying something huge and urgent. It is hard to tell what. When you look at his eyes, you feel that there is something that he wants to speak, some significant thing, some matter of urgency he wants to speak, but you cannot decipher it. Decipher means you cannot explain it into words. But you are shaken because you have seen something you never thought could be seen. Why you could he never thought that he could be seen? Because he is a great scientist. You cannot approach him anytime. But Firdaus Kanga was lucky enough to get an appointment with him, with Stephen Hawking. Before you, like a lantern, whose walls are worn so thin, you glimpse only the light inside is the incandescence of a man. Now, what is incandescence? Incandescence means inner glow or light. So, when you look at him, it looks like you're looking at a lantern whose walls are worn. It has, with over a period of time, it has gone thin, worn out. It has become so thin that you can no more see the walls of the lantern. You only see the light inside, and that is the inner glow or light. So this is a beautiful expression, beautiful comparison being done of lantern and a human being and Stephen Hawking. The body most irrelevant exists only like a case made of shadow. Here is telling the inner glow, the inner soul, the eternal soul is more important. Here the body is no more important. Body is only like a case, like a box that is made up of shadow. So that I, no believer in eternal souls, know that this is what each of us is. Everything else is necessary. So Firdaus Kanga himself being a person who does not believe in eternal soul or something like that, he says that after seeing Stephen Hawking, he started believing in the eternal soul, the inner beauty of a person. Okay, so he's telling what you see outside is only an extra thing. Okay, is only an accessory. Accessory means which is not essential but extra, though decorative. Okay, accessory means something, your body is something that is only something for decoration, that is not actually required. It is only inner soul that matters. Let's read further. What do you think is the best thing about being disabled? I asked him earlier. So he asked earlier that what do you think is the best thing about being disabled? The response of Stephen Hawking: I don't think there is anything good about being disabled. Frankly, he says that I don't feel being disabled is there is any scope or goodness in being disabled. I think I said, you do discover how much kindness there is in the world. Firdaus Ganga says, but I feel being disabled, you come to know how much of kindness and love and affection is there in the world, which the normal people are deprived of. But when you see any disabled person, automatically you feel like you develop a sympathy for that person. Yes, he said. Stephen Hawking said, of course, with this you come to know that there is kindness in the world. But it was a disadvantage of his voice synthesizer that it could convey no inflection. Now, what is inflection? It is the rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Okay, so what he says, yes, but as the voice is coming out of his disembodied body, that is, his voice is coming from a computer and computer gives a machine-like language, a language that has no emotions. You cannot find out whether the person is happy or sad by listening through the synthesizer. Okay, there is no variation in the sound, no shades or tone, and I could not tell how enthusiastically he agreed with me. And Firdaus is telling that when I said that you discover how much kindness is there in the world when you're disabled, very enthusiastically, Stephen Hawking agreed with Firdaus Kanga. Every time I shifted in my chair or turned my wrist to watch the time, I wanted to make every one of our 30 minutes count. I felt a huge relief and exhilaration. Exhilaration means excitement in the possibilities of my body. So what he is telling that every time I was shifting in my chair, every time I was turning my hand, my wrist to watch the time, why he was watching the time again and again? Because he did not want it, because this is the precious time that he has got with Stephen Hawking, and he did not wanted to waste even a single moment of it. So he was just counting on the 30 minutes and just continued his interaction with him. And by seeing Stephen Hawking in a position where he was not able to move his head or toe or anything, even he was not able to speak, he says he felt a huge relief, okay, and excitement, because he was in a much higher, better position than Stephen Hawking. About the possibilities of his body, he could move, he could speak, his hands could be moved, he can even move his legs and everything. So, he was now happy and excited about the possibilities of his own body. How little it mattered then that I would never walk or even stand. Now, seeing Stephen Hawking in a more worse condition, he is telling that even if I am not able to walk, how much does it matter now? It hardly matters, because there are people who are in worse condition than me, who are in more bad condition than what Firdaus Kanga was. I told him how he had been an inspiration beyond Klitsch for me and surely for others. Did that thought help him? So, glitch means it's a phrase or idea that is used so often it loses its meaning, actually, what it means. Okay. So, he's telling that you, being in such a position, you now hold the chair of Isaac Newton, and even being a differently able person, you have achieved so much in your life. So, you are an inspiration beyond glitch for me and for others too. So, what does this thought gives you? What feeling does this thought gives you? Does this thought help you? Does this thought encourage you? No. Actually, what? Whatever others think, that hardly matters. Fine. Because when he himself is not able, that is not going to help him anyway. Whatever the other people who are sitting around you, standing around you in the world, what people think about you hardly matters, because that is not going to help him a bit. So he clearly says no, he said. And I thought how foolish I was to ask. When your body is a claustrophobic room and the walls are growing narrower day by day. Claustrophobic means very small and suffocating. Claustrophobia means it's an abnormal fear of being in an enclosed place, in a small, suffocating place. So when your body is a claustrophobic room, a congested room from which there is no escape, and the walls are going narrow and narrow, that is the possibility of your bodies are reducing day by day. It doesn't do much good to know that there are people outside smiling with admiration to see you breathing still. So nothing is going to help when you yourself understand that your body is like a claustrophobic room and there is no escape, there is no scope of any improvement in your life or in your physical strength. Is there any advice you can give disabled people, something that might help make life better? Firdaus Kanga asked, do you want to give any inspiration, any thought? any advice to the disabled people. They should concentrate on what they are good at. I think things like the disabled Olympics are a waste of time. Firdaus Kanga said that those people who are disabled or others also should focus on the thing what they are good at. There should be some quality in that person and he should focus and work on that quality itself rather than wasting time in disabled Olympics and other things. I know what you mean. I remembered the years I had spent trying to play a Spanish guitar, considerably larger than I was, and how gleefully I had unstringed it one night. Gleefully means very happily. So he said, I understand what you mean to say. And there was a time when I myself, that is Firdaus Kanga, he tried to learn Spanish guitar. And Spanish guitar is supposed to be huge in size, bigger than your size. So Spanish guitar is what with his disabled body he tried to learn to play Spanish guitar, though he knew he is not good at that. Okay, when he failed his attempt of learning the Spanish guitar very happily, he unstringed it one night. Unstring means he removed all the strings of the Spanish guitar so that nobody could play it again. The half hour was up. I think I have annoyed you enough, I said, grinning. Thank you for Firdaus Kanga, as he was noting the time because he did not want to take even a single minute of this important person. After the half hour was done, he said, now the time is up. I think I have disturbed you a lot. Okay, and then he was just about to say thank you and bid farewell. Stay, is what the response from Stephen Hawking came. That means when Stephen Hawking wants Firdaus Kanga to stay with him, that means they were enjoying each other's company. And Stephen Hawking also wanted that Firdaus Kanga should spend more time with him. So, after when this response from Stephen Hawking came that he should stay, immediately he also waited. Have some tea. I can show you the garden. And it's a great honor when a great person like him is telling to wait and he is offering tea and he wants to show you his garden. The garden was as big as a park. Okay, but Stephen Hawking covered every inch, rumbling along in his motorized wheelchair while I dodged to keep out of the way. What is rumbling? Rumbling is actually a sound, a creaking sound. Okay, that sound that came continuously from his wheelchair. Okay, so though his garden was very huge, but still Stephen Hawking covered each and every corner of his garden and showed it in an elaborate form to Stephen Hawking and Firdaus Kanga. And Firdaus Kanga was trying to keep his chair in control so that he doesn't go and hit or doesn't go and overlap or cover or interrupt the way of Stephen Hawking. We couldn't talk very much. Why they couldn't talk very much? Because the sun was very bright, and in bright light, the screens of your phone or the computer are silent. You cannot see anything on the screen. That's why while moving in the sunlight, they couldn't move much in the they couldn't talk much in the garden. The letters on a screen disappearing in the glare. In the bright sunlight, the letters on the screen were disappeared. That's why they couldn't make much conversation during their visit in the garden. An hour later, we were ready to leave. I didn't know what to do. Okay, after an hour, almost they spent very happy, good time together for 1 hour. He was ready to go. I could not kiss him or cry, as they both of them were on the wheelchair. They could not get up and hug each other, or they could not kiss each other. The emotions were overwhelmed. There was lot of emotion inside Firdaus Kanga. So just a bit forward, as he could not get up and hug and kiss him, he touched his shoulder and wheeled out into the summer evening. So he just touched his shoulder just to say goodbye, and he just wheeled outside. I looked back and I knew he was waving, though he wasn't. Inside, though his hands couldn't make any motion, Firdaus Kanga was sure that deep inside, from his heart, he is waving at him. But physically, he was not able to do that. Watching him, an embodiment of my bravest self. The one embodiment means a visible form of idea or feeling, a visible form, his own self, but a much bravest part. The one I was moving towards, the one I had believed in for so many years alone. I knew that my journey was over for now. So, what he says? The author expresses how glancing at Stephen was like looking at his bravest self, the one he was moving towards and the one he had believed in for so many years. He was well aware that his journey was over for now in England. This story inspires and guides other such people by advising that they should concentrate on what they are good at and should not waste time doing what they are not naturally inclined to. Firdaus Kanga, story extracted from Heaven on Wheels. Thank you.